Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a bit more serious when explaining these BTS theories, just because in my last video it was kind of a first reaction type of deal and it made sense but at the same time it doesn't, which is the theme for BTS theories, because I've kind of discovered after sitting down and actually thinking about it, these theories, even though it's confusing, at the same time we know what's going on. We're just missing this bit of information that we have not been revealed yet. And I feel like that bit of information is what happened between them that caused them to not hang out anymore. It could just be that their own personal issues got in the way, or it could be something bigger than that. I don't know. Basically, today's focus is on the 4 solo songs by the vocal line, which are Serendipity, Euphoria, Singularity, and then Epiphany. And then I'm also going to focus on the Run music video and I Need You music video, and then some minor things in Spring Day and Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So, let's get started. So first of all, Serendipity, Euphoria, and Singularity are all distractions. So Serendipity is like this cute video about love. That's a distraction. Euphoria is about this upbeat song, you know, hanging out, distraction. And Singularity is like this sensual video of V with his deep voice and distraction. So basically, Serendipity, what I've heard from other theories is that it's actually about Jimin being alone and wanting to be saved by someone, by his friends. And there's a line in there that I caught notice of where it says the universe is jealous of us. So I take that as Jimin blaming the universe for separating him from his friends. And kind of leading into Euphoria, you can see that Jimin is on the stairs with J-Hope, kind of looking worried, and J-Hope is basically leaving him. So on to Euphoria. Euphoria has 3 parts to it. The first part explaining kind of their issues, and the middle part, which is the actual song and like them hanging out, and then the last part showing kind of a inverse of what happened at a certain point, which I'll explain. So basically, Euphoria, even though it sounds upbeat and like it's kind of like this nice bounce beat, I've read somewhere that it's actually a song about JK joining Yoongi in this utopia, aka heaven or afterlife or whatever you want to believe. Basically, we know that Yoongi died in that hotel room with the fire. And in the beginning of Euphoria, it tells a bit of the story. It shows JK pulling Yoongi out, but we can assume that Yoongi doesn't make it, which is why JK wants to join him in this utopia. We also see that Jin sees JK pulling out Yoongi of the room, which we can assume is why Jin has to redo this day all over again. Basically, it just shows us what Jin is seeing and what he needs to fit. I also saw somewhere on Twitter there was the theory that there's a scene where they all line up one by one, and it first starts with Yoongi and JK, and then it joins with either RM and V or Jimin and J-Hope, but either way, it's them two, then the other two, and then Jin joins last. And somebody had said like maybe this is the lineup of their deaths, which is kind of confusing because since Jin does join, does that mean nothing gets fixed and they all just end up dying? Or does it mean something else? And then in the end it shows, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's a scene that V goes up this super long, I'll say diving board, and he jumps from it. And so in the end of Euphoria, you see this scene again, only they're wearing white clothes, and it's Jin that's up on top of it, and he's the one that jumps. But you can also see that V is looking at him and kind of like confused, basically, because usually he's the one that's on there, and he feels weird about this because now Jin is there. So that kind of makes me believe that somehow V is going to end up finding out what's going on, or V already knows what's going on, which leads me into Singularity. So again, Singularity is also a distraction. The sensual voice V uses to sing it in, the concept, like it's all distraction, except for the lyrics. The lyrics actually make quite a lot of sense. So the first few lyrics are of him saying how he hears this loud noise over and over again, which I took it as he hears this pain of his sister being abused by his father, which we know from the highlight reels and the Run music video or the I Need You music video, one of those. And so there's a line that he says, "I hear it again at the frozen lake." And that kind of makes me feel like V catches on to what's going on, because if he hears it over again on the frozen lake, it makes it seem like he hears it over and over again on this frozen timeline, because the day is starting over and over again. And then he says this other thing, "I buried my voice for you," which makes me seem like he does find out what's going on and he knows that V is the one that's doing it. So he's saying like, okay, I'm just gonna stay quiet for you so you can try to fix what's going on. But obviously it's not working because V is hearing it over and over again, so much to the point where it's driving him kind of insane and making him forget who he really is. And that's why I think Jin switches place with V, because maybe that's Jin's way of trying to fix V's issue, at least, since obviously Jin catches on that V knows and he doesn't want his friend to suffer anymore, so he's trying out other things to try to fix all of their issues. Which leads me into Epiphany. So Epiphany, I feel like, is the only music video and song that doesn't really try to distract us from anything, because in the music video you see multiple Jins like everywhere, which obviously explains the time lapses that he's doing, and the lyrics explain how he's kind of not giving up, but he kind of is at a loss of what to do because he's tried so many things and nothing seems to be working. And so he says, "I'm the one I should love in this world," basically saying, you know, even though I love my friends so much, this is driving me insane, because he's seeing his friends suffer over and over and over again and nothing seems to be working. And what I think that means is that there's no real way to save all 6 of them. Someone's gonna end up perishing, which kind of sucks, because if one perishes, then the other will too, because like I said, they kind of come in pairs. So if Yoongi dies, JK dies. If V dies, RM dies. Same goes like other way around, and same thing with Jimin and J-Hope. One dies, the other dies. So I feel like no matter what Jin does, 2 of the 7 are not gonna make it. So this leads me into the Run and I Need You music video. I know that these both came out before these 4 songs, but if you listen to these 4 songs and kind of watch the videos, the theories make more sense. So you kind of have to go backwards with this whole thing. And so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna explain Run first and then I Need You, even though I Need You came out before Run. It's just easier this way. In Run, it's basically showing their past, when they used to hang out all the time. It shows them partying, and it shows us that Jin, it basically confirms that Jin is the timekeeper because we see him looking into the camera. Obviously, when it first came out, we really couldn't tell, and if you could tell, then you're a genius. It confirms that J-Hope and Jimin are in a hospital. It confirms that JK might even know what's going on. You can see him fighting with Yoongi, which also might confirm that what they were fighting about was Yoongi taking his own life, because obviously they're best friends. Why would you want your best friend to take their own lives? You know what I mean? Basically, after Yoongi and JK fight, JK's kind of thrown at the couch, and you can see him looking up into the camera, and that makes me believe, like, okay, maybe JK knows what's going on. And then in between some of these scenes, you can see JK being beat up, and then it goes back to them hanging out and being friends or whatever. But then there is the ending scene where it's showing him being beat up, and then he's kind of just walking away, and then he looks back up into the camera on a crosswalk, and it kind of indicates that a car is gonna hit him. Now, from the webtoon, we know that that was Jin. And now on to I Need You. I Need You, I feel like should be explained after Run, only because I Need You shows more of their last moments hanging out together and the beginning moments of showing what their issues are and what's going on in their personal lives. And I feel like this is also the start of the do-overs that Jin has started to do, and it also shows that Jin hit JK. So So now that we know how the 4 songs kind of connect and what they explain, and now that we know what Run and I Need You kind of show and explain, I want to talk about Blood, Sweat, and Tears and Spring Day, but just a little bit because I don't have too much on it. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, to me, because I really didn't know what was going on until Blood, Sweat, and Tears, is when we first even know that there's this whole theory going on, in my opinion. Because we see the whole beginning part of it where they're at the museum, and then we see like the bits and pieces of like the tea party, and then when Jin kisses the angel and you see V losing his wings, which also leads into me believing that V knows what's going on and he is going insane, because you see that V has no wings, which could mean that V no longer has self-control over himself. And the whole Jin kissing the statue, I think, is kind of... See, that's the part that kind of confuses me. Like, I honestly have no idea what's going on with that. But then you see Jin kind of cracking on his face, and I think that's him kind of losing himself in all of this as well, because he is seeing his best friends suffer over and over again, and anything he does or anything he tries is not able to save all 6 of them, like I've said before. And then Spring Day shows what I was talking about with JK knowing. Spring Day kind of shows that JK might know what's going on, because you kind of see this scene where he's on the train and a scene where he's not on the train, and the train passes and he looks through the window, and then JK on the train opens his eyes like, whoa, what just happened? So basically that kind of says like maybe JK saw himself because of these time lapses, so obviously something's going wrong. Spring Day may also explain why it's April 11th. That's in the webtoon. That's the day that keeps going over again. April is spring. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? Maybe Spring Day is the constant do-over day because April and spring, I don't know, those two go together. As of right now, that is all I have for these specific songs. I really want to do a video on explaining what each member's role is in this and like their backstory and all that, so I have to do more, not more research, but I just have to rewatch videos over and over again, which I do not mind. But basically, this is what I have, and I'm gonna be doing more videos on this just because BTS aside and their music aside, I think this whole story is so interesting. Not only the fact that they had started this since like their debut basically, but they're still running with it and it still works. Like, it's still very confusing to the fans, which just makes it more interesting. So what I'm thinking about doing for this channel is not changing it completely. Like, I still want to do unboxings and kind of just talk about whatever I want to talk about, but I do want to focus mainly on BTS theories and kind of explaining the webtoon and stuff like that. That is until the webtoon finishes, obviously. Like, it's not going to be my channel content forever, but just for right now, because again, I just find this really interesting. I hope you guys also find it interesting, let alone like setting aside BTS, just focusing on the story. I really do hope you guys find it interesting because I love it. So yeah, if you did like this video, leave a like, subscribe to me, I don't know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.